Good Thursday morning, everyone. This is Dylan Mangel with Nebraska Extension, and I'm here just sort of unpacking a little bit of what we're seeing with white mold as it unfolds across the state. We're getting first calls in. We're seeing a lot of those mushrooms growing out there, spreading those spores, and now we're starting to see white mold across the state. So I didn't have a chance to get out and see any in the state. I haven't seen it in person yet, but we are seeing the mushrooms. I thought I'd just take a moment here to just hop online and see what people are saying about white mold across the state as this is unfolding. So first of all, here's just a picture of the Nebraska soybean board posted. This is actually out of our research lab, just showing what this can look like under severe conditions. So this is an extreme infection. It's actually killing this plant really early on. This was sort of a greenhouse forced infection. So you might not see it look that severe in the field. You might just see this sort of fungus start to appear, but it's going to develop more slowly. The nice thing about having absolutely garbage looking beans is my white mold risk is low. That's true. If you're open and if you got canopies open, if you've got short beans, that definitely changes the dynamic. So here's a picture from us on Monday of this week. This is a single sclerotia growing a whole bunch of those mushrooms out of the top. The scale here is kind of hard to tell, but that thing it's tiny. You're looking at a third of an inch or so from long end to the other of this. So it's really small and hard to see those, but believe me, that little cluster will make a lot of spores, and those will spread around under that canopy. So we're seeing that. This one was taken north of Wayne, but we're seeing these west of Seward. We're seeing them all over, between those two areas of the state. Here's just a good video I saw that Wade Webster at North Dakota State University Extension posted. It's just an explanation of how those spores are getting in. He talks about pectinases growing, or those spores making a pectinase. Any word that ends with ace means sort of digests whatever comes before it. So they're digesting pectin in those flowers, and they're utilizing that to get the energy to get into the plant. So they need the flowers. So here's a good little breakdown if you want to go look up Wade's X handle. You can hear more about that. Okay, here's a picture posted by Casey Rankin, Eastern Otoe County field that had white mold in 2023. This is just showing up. This is July 23rd, 2025. So it showed up yesterday, starting to see white mold on beans. You can see it's an early infection. You've actually got this petiole infection up here, which is interesting. But right down here, we also have an area around a node that was infected, and that's where that white mold, that's where that fungus spread from. It got into that flower and it spread. Now, by the time you can see it on the outside of the plant, you can be sure it's loaded up through that inside of that plant. And maybe this was a petiole that had some damage and there was wounding up here, and then it kind of broke out onto that as that tissue was already degrading just from lack of water from being maybe broken off. So that could explain why that's there, but this is a good report. We're seeing this, and this is in Otoe County. This is not northern Nebraska. This isn't central Nebraska. This is 2 counties removed from Kansas. So it's showing up all over the state. This is no longer a disease of northern states. This has moved in and it's gotten really comfortable here in Nebraska. It's evolving and it's getting more used to conditions here. It's just how these things work. The more they live here, the more they're going to get used to it, and the more we're going to see it. So this has become a reality in Nebraska, and I'm guessing 2025 is going to be a rough year for a lot of growers that have had this history. Here's someone said, there's a picture here, and it shows some mushrooms referring to white mold. These actually, I think, are bird's eye fungus, so they're not quite the white mold mushroom, but they're very similar in size and shape. There could be some white mold ones in here too, because they like the same growing conditions, so they'll show up around the same time. So regardless, if you've got a history of white mold and you see these, there might be white mold out there at the same time too. But Brian Johnson here posted, cereal rye cover crop, our white mold issues disappeared right away, and we're on 20-inch rows too. So a high-risk situation, you've got a cereal rye cover crop. There's been data coming out. I think I might have pulled one up here that shows that a cereal rye cover crop can be effective if done correctly at preventing some of those sclerotia from germinating and preventing some of those spores from landing in effective areas for them to make more white mold. So this data is out there. We're really looking to test it more and get more information on this, but a cereal rye cover crop could be an option in some situations. Okay, so some other things we're seeing. Darren Mueller at Iowa posted this on July 15th. He said, too early for this post, but sudden death syndrome, white mold, and downy mildew are showing up in parts of Iowa. You can see the sudden death in the top right. The white mold is just sort of showing up that bottom right. And then one I don't see a lot of in Nebraska, and I don't pay a ton of attention to it when it's here, is this downy mildew. I've got another video in a second showing more of that, but here's how it's going to look on the top of the leaf. I just really don't see this a lot here, but we have seen it this year. So it showed up as well in Nebraska, Iowa, Illinois. It sort of showed up across that belt. And we're seeing it around the same timing. Here's a picture from Beck's, a video, and it's really good. It's just showing downy mildew on the bottom side of that leaf. You've got the spores. We've got powdery mildews and downy mildews. The downy ones, just remember, down for the bottom side of the leaf. Look under the leaf, and that's it. If it's down there, it's a downy mildew. Powdery mildews are often on the top. Okay, last, I just want to show Crop Protection Network has some resources available. We've got one tool called Crop Lookout. This is a neat tool where I think anyone now can go on and submit a report saying you found a disease in a certain area. Here's where we're at for diseases across the country now. These things are rapidly showing up. For some diseases, this is more important than others, like soybean rust. That's not something we think about. Tar spot of corn. This one's important, and it's important to see where it's at, especially as it's new to an area. Nebraska, it's kind of making it across the corn region. So it's not as new, but it's building levels, and we're seeing it earlier and earlier. And as that gets earlier and earlier, that's where that impact's going to show up more and more. So you can come on here and see these things. Soybeans have been slow. We haven't seen a ton of disease early, but I think it's going to hit hard. August is going to be a busy month for soybeans, and one thing to remember is it's too late. It almost, in most situations, you don't want to be rushing out there with a fungicide as we get into the second week of August for things like white mold. If you've got white mold, rescue treatments have been shown to rarely be economical. So don't rush out with a rescue treatment, especially if products are expensive in these economic situations. Okay, so Frogeye leaf spot's been showing up a little bit across the state as well. This got sent to me this morning for the first time. So here's what that's going to look like. Here's the spots in the middle. There's that point as well where there's some growth. That's the Frogeye of the Frogeye leaf spot. So watch for these. I don't worry about this a lot. It's not really blown up and been really bad for several years. 2018 was pretty bad, I think, but hasn't been a widespread thing. But with the weather we've had this year, if we continue to get these cycles of rain over and over and over again, something like this could blow up. So pay attention to that if you've experienced this in the past. Just to close out, thanks for watching this video. We've got some issues across the state right now. Be aware of what's going to be economical to treat for. Sudden death syndrome is likely to flare up based on the spring we had as well. But remember, those aren't treatable problems. I'm going to do a video next week on red crown rot. So if anyone is interested, please follow along and we'll cover that. And feel free to reach out anytime to Nebraska Extension if you've got questions about any of these. And if you need online resources, go online to cropwatch.unl.edu. Thanks for watching.